Hey guys, good to see you again. It's been a really crazy week it's been a crazy week, but it's been a crazy month since I haven't talked to you guys last. Uh, so, from the last video, I started the Robinhood $10,000 challenge, and you can see that screenshot from the last video. I think I was already up to $12,000, so I put the money in January 1st or something like that. And then, something rolled around, I guess, with the insurrection that happened at the Capitol. And then when that was resolved and Joe Biden, the uncertainty around him was resolved, we really kind of rocketed up for about a day. So I took that, as I could. And I felt like, man, at 380, this is the tippity top, I hope. But then it kept on going. I'm like, oh man, it's going to the 4,000 in the SPX or 400 on SPY, whatever you want to say. And then I'm thinking, then that's the rug pull. And I was thinking 380 because if you remember during the trade war, it was kind of exactly around those kinds of levels where it was really melting up, and then right around the trade war time, I think it was at 280-ish. It couldn't crack 300, and then we did a sharp drop and rebound after that. I'm like, man, it doesn't tend to want to wait until 300, 400, whatnot, those large numbers. It seems to like 80 for some reason, or maybe if you think about game theory, people don't want to sell at those really big round numbers. They prefer to sell at slightly before that. So it inadvertently makes a giant sell wall at 380. I forget how long after that I was kind of selling everything, and I was thinking, ironically, like very ironically, man, GameStop is $20. It's only, $0.7 billion. It had X amount of cash on hand, and Ryan Cohn was coming in, and I was watching, all of the streams from Roaring Kitty and just other DD on Wall Street Bets, and I was kind of convinced. I've never really seen the short squeezes work before, so I was completely skeptical of that, but I was in it to win it for the actual value play. That it didn't get delisted. It was very close to getting delisted, but when it got saved, I'm thinking, okay, this is actually stable now. It's harder to go back down to that danger zone. So I'm thinking, man, I can sell everything, liquidate everything, and put it into a stable stock like GameStop. And I almost did that. I really had that thought run through my mind when it was at 20, and I didn't pull the trigger, and then it rocketed up to 40, and I'm like, okay, this is next up. This is it. And the shares, the float, I guess it was still pretty decently big, because even though it went from 20 to 40, it was still only about a $2 billion company. That was cheaper than Corsair, as you saw that I had before. I'm like, this is great. Corsair and Palantir, they've had their run a little bit earlier this month. Actually, this week, I think. But they were stagnant for a decent amount of time. So I think I sold pretty much everything, put on a GameStop at 40, and I was in and out a lot, kind of swing trading it. I could have done better, but you really can't complain when you go to, when you take any investment from, not much to over 100% return in just a month. So that's a pretty good month for me. Obviously, other people had a way better month than I did. You just gotta be in your personal risk tolerance. I know some people with smaller accounts are buying in at the 300s, but the regulators can really smack this down. Every single eye on the planet is on this. All the regulators are looking at this. Every lawmaker is looking at this. The SEC is looking at this. It's insane how big this has got. And when it's getting that big, it just increases the odds that they can increase, some sort of regulation to smack it down, or, allow the shorts to get out, because it's unnatural, they might say. They argue, many narratives that just aren't so good for the retail investor. And, you could argue maybe the squeezes happen. How much can you really ask for it more? Those numbers that they give out for short interest in days to cover, they could be manipulated, or they could be in a totally different structure of tranches than what you're thinking of, especially if someone like Melvin Capital is completely out. The biggest short, that really changes the dynamic. So I'm really out of all that, except for Walmart, basically. But even Walmart's really taken a dump, which is, a huge bummer. I really thought I was safe with Walmart. I was kind of experimenting with them. But, I kind of have this weird conspiracy theory that if mutual funds buy into GameStop unironically, and everyone buys into GameStop unironically, even more hedge funds, because they see the stories change because of Ryan Cohen, and they believe in him. It's not necessarily worth $24 billion for a company, but it's worth something. It's here to stay, and they can turn it around into a great growth story. If everyone goes long on this company, they're going to short the S&P 500 or SPY or something to, hedge themselves to create alpha if they're really truly going long net this stock. But if they all short it, then that can just create a massive crash, ironically. Also, Robinhood was talking about they don't have all the necessary money to cover the clearinghouse's margin, settlement, and deposit, fees. But basically, the deposits that they're required to even buy the shares and clear them at the clearinghouses. So they're just not as well capitalized as the other brokers, like Interactive Brokers. So they shut down trading in order to basically stop risk. But a lot of people aren't so happy about that. But that's just another reason why I can't be in GameStop anymore. It's just the odds, I don't think, are so much in their favor. And when you look at someone like Deep Value, he's been holding for more than a year. And it wouldn't be out of the question for him to hold, another year at least. And I'm trying to make money, more on the nowish side, not day trading, but just more nowish, especially since I don't even have a large position, or it'd be hard to make a large position in GameStop to begin with. So that's not really something I want to be holding for a year. That's not really an efficient use of my capital, I don't think. So January is historically a positive month, and just by that token, I'm hoping, after this massive melt up, that we're going to start tanking, a little bit, maybe 5%, praying for 5% at least, because I don't think we could stand to be invested in this market when we're near all-time highs, but we only go down 5%. Then that means, what are we going to have to look forward to the rest of this year? We're going to go, 5%, and then what are we going to get back up to? Okay, we went up 5% and then 10%, and then your returns are only 5 to 10% there. If you think about it, that's not acceptable. That's not normal. That's not natural. So I'm really hoping, partially betting on some pullback. That would be really nice. And then when that pullback comes and someone swoops in and saves us for some reason, or just 30 days pass of a bearish market or a correction, then we can buy back into our favorite things that just IPO'd in the last couple months, like 6 months or so. And I mean, you'll see the update soon enough of what that is and what that looks like. It's pretty much the same as when I started in January, hopefully. I'm surprised gold hasn't done as well as Bitcoin, but I think Bitcoin has had its run. Now we can see that it's behaving just because of the halving of the rewards for the miners. That's it. I mean, that controls so much of the supply demand, I guess. So I'd say that in a few years, it'll retrace back to 75% again. And just like it went from 20,000 to 4,000, you know, hopefully we can see something similar here, and then I'll have more money to buy in because it's inevitable. But that's for way down the line. I mean, that's just my thoughts. I kind of FOMO'd into Bitcoin, but then I thought, I really can't fall into this hype. I've seen this story before. I've been in so many stories. The first Bitcoin hype in 2017 and plenty of other hypes around stocks. You know, you look at Tesla, look at things way before that. You know, whatever you can think of, I've been around to see it, at least from the 2016 time frame. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next coming months in terms of the reserve. I think they're going to hold things at zero, like they said. They've already said that this week, I think. So I'm just looking out for any swan factor that could just jump in and kick the retail investor down. Other than that, just tell me in the comments, you know, what your thoughts are, what you're holding, and you know, if you're new, you know, don't you know, now at the beginning of your investing journey, you've got to start building up your IQ to this stuff and figuring out how to be a smart investor and figure out what's hype and then what's not hype and what your timeline should be when you're investing. And that also depends on how much money you can even invest as well. So give me a comment on anything you want, and maybe I'll make a video on it later. And I'll try to keep on updating my positions for the Robinhood 10K challenge. So congrats if you made money, probably more money than me. Yeah, cheers guys. Take care.